minutes, relates to pilot programs. There's been other speakers about these pilot programs. Now, it's easy for some to dismiss the concerns that have been expressed by pilot programs. And those the people who would dismiss those concerns would say that the pilots bring growth and jobs to the area. Maybe, maybe not. Just recently, the Washington Post published an article on a study by a professor at Washington University in St. Louis. He presented the results of this study at a conference put on by the Kauffman Foundation, and this article was actually reprinted in the Commercial Appeal within the past week or so. And of this professor's findings, he said that they didn't refer to them as pilot programs, that's Memphis' unique term, but tax incentives basically were not a sustainable method to promote economic growth either nationally or locally. In his study, 6 years after the incentives were received, the firms who received the incentives generated slightly fewer jobs than the firms who didn't receive the incentives. He found that there was no evidence that tax incentive programs had a positive effect on job creation. He found that 1/3 of tax incentive programs had no formal review process to make sure the recipients lived up to their representations. He also found that most of the programs he studied had no clawback provisions. In other words, we give you a pilot, you come in, you say you're going to create a certain number of jobs at a certain wage and make this amount of capital investment. A clawback provision would allow the municipality to get some of the pilot money back. And most of the ones he studied did not have a clawback provision, and he said that's one of the major problems with these tax incentive programs in municipalities, not just in Memphis, but across the country. It's just not a viable way forward. At a more local level, the Memphis and Shelby County Economic Development and Growth Engine, EDGE, did a compliance study in 2013 on pilots that were granted in 2011. I think one of the previous speakers alluded to it. Of 6 out of the 10 companies that compliance study looked at, self-reported that they were failing to meet their job creation, their wage, and their capital investment commitments. This is the companies themselves, 6 out of the 10, that Memphis gave pilots to, saying we're not going to make it. We can't do it. This is exactly the situation that causes outcry among not only the citizens of Memphis, but the employees as well. Taxpayer dollars were spent to lure employers here with the promise, or at least the implication, that they would provide economic growth, jobs, good jobs, and some capital investment. And at least based on the EDGE study from 2013, 6 out of 10 haven't done it. It didn't indicate, I don't have the information as to which ones, but still it's a number to be aware of. And that's also the situation that Professor Jensen indicates should be addressed if these programs are to continue, and that is to have a rigorous review process and a clawback provision. So if it's going to be done, do it right. Do it where it makes a difference to the city and not just a big PR event when the company originally arrives here and then doesn't provide the benefits that it promoted that it would.